Hey there, it's Jen, and today I want to show you how I made this little canvas using some new mixed media products from Thermoweb. So I'm going to recreate this little heart and this love piece in the middle, and I just put this on an 8x8 canvas, and for the background, I'm not going to show you how to create the background, so I'll just tell you really quick what I did. I just used some watered down acrylic paint, put a puddle of it in the middle of my canvas, and kind of tilted it around so I got these nice little like splotchy looks, and then let that dry. So you can go ahead and do that to your canvas if you want to create a similar look, but I'm going to show you how to do mostly the heart and the love part. So you can see I've got the products out that I'm going to use here, and it's just a few things. So the new products that I'm going to be using are this gorgeous new deco foil called Summer Rainbow, and you can see from this canvas the gorgeous colors that you get. So it goes from like an orangey red to a pink to almost a silvery gold to yellow and back to orange and red again. Really pretty color, and I wanted to use that for this. I'm using a die for my word love. This is from the Amy Tangerine +1 collection. You could use any word die that you have, or you could even hand cut it or anything like that. I'm using a paintbrush. I'm using the new mixed media adhesive, and then I'm using the two new kinds of mixed media sheets. Now these look similar to each other. They're hard to tell apart without feeling them. So there's a heavyweight and a lightweight. Now this is the heavyweight. It has more of a soft fabric-y texture. It doesn't, like, it's hard to pull or rip. It's just a kind of a soft velvety texture. And then the lightweight lightweight mixed media sheet has more of a papery texture. You can kind of hear that. And it's a little bit more stiff, and you can tear this pretty easily. So that's pretty fun and pretty cool. But it's still really durable, almost not quite fabric-y, but you can rip it, and they're both super awesome. So I used the heavyweight mixed media material to create the heart, and I used the lightweight to die cut the word love. The lightweight adhesive or mixed media paper die cuts really easily and really well, and they both take color very well. And so in addition to the paintbrush, I forgot to pull out, I'm going to watercolor on this lightweight mixed media paper, and you'll see that. It's really fun. So let's go ahead and get started on the tutorial on how to make this. So we're going to start with this heart, creating the little heart. And I used the heavyweight mixed media sheets for this. I'm going to take two sheets. They're sized to 8.5 by 11. You can actually print on these and do all sorts of stuff with them. It's really cool. But what I'm going to do is just take two, and I'm going to fold them in half. Now, if you don't feel comfortable with freehanding a heart like I did, you could definitely draw one or cut one out, trace one and cut one out or something like that. But what I'm going to do is just kind of freehand a little heart shape. So I've got two sheets of mixed media, the heavyweight mixed media paper, and I'm just going to kind of freehand a half heart shape. Because it's folded in half, I don't need the whole shape. And then once I cut it in half like that, then I can fold it out and see if it looks crazy or if it looks okay. This looks a little bit crazy, so I'm just going to reshape it a little. That's a little better. So it doesn't matter to me if it's perfect, and this isn't the same shape of heart that I used on the original, but it's about the same size, so that's great. This is just for demonstration purposes. So now what I'm going to do, I have two pieces which I'm going to end up stitching together. So I'm just going to take the top piece, and I'm going to grab something to protect my work surface because this is going to leak through a little bit. So I just have a piece of, this is a Teflon coated mat that you can wipe things off easily. So I'm going to put my heart there, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some mixed media adhesive. I'm just going to squeeze some out kind of a generous amount onto my craft sheet there. I'm going to take a paintbrush, and what I'm going to do to get this pretty effect where it's not completely filled in, but it's a lot filled in, what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint the mixed media adhesive onto the heart. So I'm just going to take my paintbrush and I'm going to brush it on to the heart. I might need some more. It is, because this is like a fabric-y texture, it is going to leak through a little bit, maybe a little bit more. It doesn't matter if it's perfect because we're not going for perfect. This is kind of a distressed painted look that we're going for, and it does not need to be perfect. So that is good because it's not going to be. And what we're going to do is we're going to let this dry just a little bit until it gets tacky. Now you're going to want to wash your brush right away so that the adhesive doesn't dry in there. So I'll go ahead and do that. And I'm going to set this aside to dry. We're going to work on the piece that says love on our canvas while we wait for this to dry. Okay, so now to work on the little piece that says love, we're going to take our die, and again, you can use any die that you have. You could hand cut this out. These are stiff enough, they might even work in a silhouette cameo. I have not tried that yet, but you could definitely try playing with the settings on that. And I'm going to take 2 thicknesses, so I've just cut a small piece. I'm using a very small die cutting machine today. You could use any die cut machine that you have, but I'm using this little diamond press machine because it sits on my desk and it fits this die in it. So you can see I have 2 sheets here. What I'm going to do is cut 4 of this word love. So for this particular machine, what you do is you stick your die down. Let me make sure this is big enough. Okay, there we go. And you stick it in the folder. Let me move this up a little bit. Stick it in the folder, and then you're going to run it through the machine. So you can see I'll pull this out here, and it has cut awesomely. It's definitely stiff enough to cut in a machine, even though it has kind of like a little bit more of a fabric-y texture than a piece of paper would. So now we have these 2, and I've already cut out 2 more. I used 4 layers on the canvas that I used, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of color to the top layer. So I'm going to move this out of the way. I have another piece of this Teflon sheet that I just cut in half. So I used half of it for the heart that's drying right now, and then the other half I will just paint a little bit of color onto this word. So I just have an inexpensive pan of watercolors here. You could use any that you have. You could use spray mists. You could use anything to color this. It takes the color very, very well. And I have a water brush. And what I'm going to do is just add some of the colors that are in the foil that we're going to use on the heart. So I'm going to add some pink and some yellow and a little bit of an orangey color. So I'm just going to take some color and I'm just going to kind of add it on, and I'm going to kind of blend into some yellow. And this is different than the one I made before, and that's fine. And when pink and yellow hit, they make orange. So that's going to give me my orange color. And I'll just add a little bit more pink here. And maybe I want a little bit of a softer color. So just add in a little bit, a bunch of the different colors, and it's fine. However it turns out, it'll be just fine. And the colors are just going to kind of play on here, and that will be great. I'm going to add a little bit more yellow to the end and kind of let these blend together to make some orange. And that's all I'm going to do to create that word love. Now, if you wanted to, you could kind of hit this with a paper towel or something to sop up the extra liquid. I'm just going to let this dry here, and then what I'm going to do is glue all of the love words together. And the way that I'm going to do that is with a little bit more of that mixed media adhesive. So I'm going to glue these 3 layers together while I'm waiting for that one to dry. And all I'm going to do is just add a little bit. This is a wet adhesive, so it does go through the die cut a little bit, and so I'm not going to add a ton of adhesive. You don't need very much anyway. And I don't care if this is perfectly lined up, because I want it to be a little offset just for some kind of dimension. So I'm going to set this aside now to dry. I'm going to bring back the little heart that we painted the color on before, and we're going to add some foil to that. Okay, so here's the heart that I painted with the mixed media adhesive earlier, and I've just been waiting for it to get a little bit tacky so that the foil will stick to it. Now, because this is very fabricy and kind of a porous surface, I found that you need to press down pretty hard on this to get the foil to stick. And you could run this through a die cut machine if you wanted, but I kind of like the texture that you get if you just hand rub it on. So I've cut a piece of foil, that gorgeous rainbow, summer rainbow foil. Is that what it's called? Something like that. Summer rainbow. And what I'm going to do is just lay it over the top of my heart, and I'm just going to take my hand and I'm going to rub on top of the heart. And through trial and error, I've just found like I'm very impatient, and so I always want to try this before it's actually time to do it, probably. So there you can kind of see how pretty that actually looks in the light. So if this doesn't transfer all the way, that means the adhesive wasn't dry enough. And what I'll do is I'll let it dry for a minute, and then I'll come back and rub it on some more. So let's see where we're at here, and you can kind of push down a little bit harder in some areas to get more transfer. And you can kind of decide how you want it to look. So you can see that I have not waited long enough. You can see that this is the adhesive pulling up. And it didn't transfer hardly any. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let that dry for a while longer and then come back and do this same thing again. So I'm going to let that dry for a little bit longer. Okay, and now I think we're going to have some success here with getting a little bit more of that foil on, and you can see I've got a nice look here. Now if I wanted a little bit more in this corner, I could just take and rub my finger down a little bit. But I kind of like when it's all like a little bit splotchy. I think it looks kind of cool. And so I'm going to go ahead and go with this here. So I've got some nice even coverage in parts of it, and I've got a real splotchy coverage in another part of it. And that just lends to kind of the overall feel of this project. So now what you can do with this is take the other half that we cut out, and you're going to place it behind it. And what I did was just hand stitch this down. So I'll just show you the start of this. I used a full thickness of thread here, so it's 6 strands, and I just eyeballed it, and I started on this side. I knew that I wanted to leave a space where I could stuff it, and so I just poked my needle up and down, and I just eyeballed it. It's not perfect, and that's okay. You'll definitely want to tie a knot there at the start of your thread, but just so you get an idea of how I did it, I just stitched it like that. And then I actually didn't have any stuffing, so what I stuffed the finished heart with was just some more of this, like the leftover pieces from these cuts. I just cut them up and balled them up and shoved them inside, so I've got a nice stuffed heart. Now if you wanted a flat one, you wouldn't have to do this, but I like the dimension that it gives to have the stuffed heart, and so that's how I did that. So now let's finish the word love. I've got the 3 layers here, and then here's the top layer all dry. It looks very, very pretty, and I can just add that right on top just the same way that I added the other 3 layers together. So I'm just going to put a little bit of the mixed media adhesive. This stuff is great for paper to paper stuff too. It's really strong. And I'll just add that. Now I do want some of the white to show, so I'm just going to add it in a way so that you do get kind of that little bit of a shadow. Okay, and then all I'll do is wait for that to dry, and then I can glue it onto the front of my heart. After this, I would first stitch this, stuff it, and sew it and then stick it on like this. And that's just a really fun and pretty look. Here's a look again at the final product. I did use hot glue to attach the heart to the canvas just because it was big and puffy. It was just easier that way. And I used the mixed media adhesive to attach the word love to the front of the heart. So it's just a kind of a fun and different way to use these new mixed media products. I love a simple, I'm not huge into the like really messy mixed media, but I love a light and bright, and this is a fun way to do a light and bright mixed media project. And this is just going to hang up on my scrap room wall. So I hope that you have enjoyed this project. Be sure to head over to the Thermoweb blog at thermoweb.com/blog so you can see close-up photos of this and have more information about the products that I used today. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll talk to you again soon.